Rain hammered the platform of Chicago's Union Station like it was trying to wash away every regret I carried. My suitcase sat beside me. Ticket to a one-way flight out of my ruined life clenched in my fist. My fiancé had left me 2 weeks earlier for my business partner. My mother had passed 3 months before that. I was done, empty, ready to disappear somewhere no one knew my name. Then a soft, trembling voice cut through the downpour. "Excuse me, sir." I turned. She stood, their dark wavy hair plastered to her cheeks, hazel eyes wide with something between fear and desperation. A simple cream coat clung to her frame. No umbrella. Just her. "Please," she whispered, voice cracking. "Just stay with me for 5 minutes. Don't walk away. I can't be alone right now." Our eyes locked. In that single second, something ancient and electric passed between us. I should have kept walking. Instead, I set my suitcase down. Those 5 minutes became the first night I remembered what it felt like to breathe again. Her name was Sophia Bennett, 27, a children's book illustrator who hadn't drawn in months. She wouldn't tell me why she needed those 5 minutes. Not at first. We sat on a cold metal bench as the rain eased into a soft mist. Train announcements echoed around us like distant warnings. I told her my name was Jake. She smiled, small, fragile, but real. "You look like someone who's running, Jake." "I am," I admitted. The words surprised me. I hadn't said them out loud to anyone. She reached over and brushed a raindrop from my sleeve. The touch lingered half a second longer than it should have. My pulse answered before my brain could. We talked like people who had known each other in another life. She described the way light hit the lake at dawn. I told her about building houses that felt like homes even when mine had fallen apart. Laughter came unexpectedly, hers soft and melodic, mine rusty from disuse. 2 hours passed. My flight was long gone. "I should go," she said suddenly, standing. Her phone had been lighting up in her pocket for the last 20 minutes. "Thank you for staying." "Wait." I caught her hand. "At least let me walk you somewhere dry." She looked at me then, really looked. The kind of look that strips armor. "I'm scared, Jake, and I don't know you. But I feel safe with you." That terrifies me more. We ended up at a small all-night diner, a block from the station. Over coffee and pancakes. She told me her mother had just been diagnosed with early-onset Alzheimer's. The fear of watching her disappear, piece by piece, had paralyzed her creativity and her courage. She'd come to the station that night because she'd almost bought a ticket anywhere just to run. "I don't want to lose her before I've really said everything," Sophia whispered, tears catching the fluorescent light. I reached across the table and covered her hand with mine. "Then don't run. Stay and fight. I'll stay with you tonight, as long as you need." We walked the wet streets until sunrise. At her apartment door, she turned, rose on her toes, and pressed the gentlest kiss to my cheek. "Tomorrow?" she asked. "Tomorrow," I promised. But when I got back to my empty place, my phone buzzed with a text from my ex. "I made a mistake. Can we talk?" I stared at the screen until it went dark, heart torn in 2 directions. Cliffhanger. The next morning, Sophia didn't answer my texts. Instead, I received a call from an unknown number. "This is Sophia's brother. She's in the hospital. She asked for you." Sophia had collapsed from exhaustion and a severe panic attack. When I arrived at the hospital, her brother Marcus Dahl, protective and wary, studied me like I was another complication in their already heavy. "Liv, she mentioned you," he said grudgingly. "Said you stayed when she asked." "That's rare." I sat by her bed for hours. When she awoke, the smile she gave me could have powered the whole city. "You came," she breathed. "I told you I would." The next weeks were a blur of golden connection and quiet fear. We spent every spare moment together. I helped her finish illustrations for a book she'd abandoned. She dragged me to the lake at sunrise and made me sketch terrible stick figures beside her delicate watercolors. We cooked terrible pasta, danced in her tiny kitchen to old records, and kissed like the world might end tomorrow. Slow, deep, desperate. One night, on her rooftop, wrapped in a blanket under a sky fighting through city lights, she traced my jaw with her finger. "I think I'm falling in love with you, Jake. And it's the worst timing in the world. I'm already there," I told her. "Been there since the bench." But cracks appeared. My ex Lauren kept calling, showing up at my office with apologies and memories. Sophia saw us talking one afternoon outside a cafe. She didn't confront me then, she just went quiet. Then came the misunderstanding that shattered everything. I had gone to meet Lauren to finally close the door, sign papers, say the things that needed saying. Sophia saw me hugging Lauren goodbye, a moment of shared grief over what we'd lost. From across the street, it looked like reconciliation. She left a note at my door that night. "Jake, I can't compete with your past when my future is so uncertain. I need to focus on Mom. Please don't call. I'm sorry." I called. She didn't pick up. Texts went unanswered. My world went gray again. 3 days later, I showed up at her apartment only to find a moving truck. Marcus met me at the door. "She left for Seattle, said it was better this way. She doesn't want you watching her mother fade, or her fall apart with it." I stood in the rain again, the same rain that had started everything, feeling my heart crack wide open. Cliffhanger. 2 months passed in silence. Then one evening my phone rang. Sophia's voice, trembling. Jake, Mom doesn't have much time. She wants to meet the man who made me believe in love again. But I understand if it's too late. I took the first flight to Seattle. Sophia met me at the airport, eyes red but glowing with something to resolve. We didn't speak much on the drive to her mother's care facility. When we arrived, her mother, Eleanor, was frail but lucid, sitting by a window overlooking the water. "So you're the one," Eleanor said, squeezing my hand with surprising strength. "My Sophia lights up when she talks about you. Don't let her push you away. Life is too short for fear." That night, Sophia and I walked along the shore. The moon painted silver paths on the waves. "I was terrified," she confessed, voice breaking. "Terrified of loving you and then losing everything. When I saw you with her, I ran. I thought I was protecting both of us. I stopped, turned her toward me, and cupped her face in my hands. I was saying goodbye to my past. Sophia, you are my future, every minute, every hard day. I'm not going anywhere." Tears slipped down her cheeks, "even if it gets ugly. Especially then." We kissed under the moonlight, deep healing, full of every unsaid promise. Passion and tenderness braided together as the waves whispered around us. For the first time in years, I wasn't running. I was home. Eleanor passed peacefully 2 weeks later, with Sophia holding one hand and me the other. In the quiet after, Sophia turned to me. "Stay with me," she whispered, the same words, different meaning. "Forever this time," I answered. We got married a year later, on that same Chicago bench, now engraved with a small plaque, 5 minutes that became forever. 1 year into our marriage, life felt like a dream. I was afraid to wake from. We had moved into a small house overlooking Lake Michigan with a sunlit studio for Sophia's illustrations. Every morning, I'd wake to the smell of coffee and the sight of her painting at the easel, sunlight catching the gold band on her finger. But dreams have shadows. Sophia had thrown herself into a new children's book series about a little girl who talked to stars. The deadline was tight, and the pressure stirred old fears. One night, I found her curled on the studio floor, surrounded by crumpled sketches, tears streaming silently. "I'm terrified. I'll forget how to do this when Mom's memories are gone from me too," she whispered. I pulled her into my arms, heart aching. "You won't. I'll remember for both of us." We grew closer in those fragile months, passionate nights where we made love like time was borrowed. Slow dances in the kitchen to the same old records. But a new tension arrived when my old architecture firm offered me a major project in New York 6 months away from home. "I can't ask you to give that up," Sophia said, forcing a brave smile. "But I don't know if I can do this alone right now." We compromised. I took the project but flew home every other weekend. The distance tested us. Video calls filled with longing. Airport reunions where we'd kiss like soldiers returning from war. Then came the first real fracture. During one of my weekends home, Sophia surprised me with news. She was pregnant. Joy exploded between us stares, laughter, plans whispered against her still flat belly. But 2 days later, I received urgent news from New York. A major structural issue on the project could cost millions in jobs if I didn't return immediately. I left that night. At the airport, Sophia stood holding the positive test photo, eyes shining with love and fear. "Just come back to us. Jake, promise me 5 more minutes every day until you're home for good." "I promise," I said, kissing her deeply. But the project dragged on. Miscommunications grew. One exhausted night, after a brutal argument over the phone about missing her first ultrasound, Sophia went quiet for 3 days. When she finally called, her voice was small. "I felt the baby kick today, Jake, and you weren't here." The guilt crushed me. Cliffhanger, I rushed to the airport to fly home early, only to discover Sophia had been admitted to the hospital with complications. The doctor's words echoed, "We need to talk about the risks to the baby." I burst into the hospital room to find Sophia, pale but fierce, Marcus standing guard beside her. The pregnancy was high risk due to her stress levels and lingering grief. The doctor recommended strict bed rest for the remainder of the term. "I'm sorry," I choked out, kneeling by her bed. "I should have been here." "You're here now," she said softly, placing my hand on her belly. The tiny kick against my palm healed something deep inside me. The next months were both beautiful and brutal. I turned down the New York extension and worked remotely from home. We turned the nursery into our sanctuary, painting clouds on the walls, while Sophia directed from bed. Laughter returned, late night talks about names, Ethan if a boy, Eleanor if a girl. But secrets have a way of surfacing. One evening, while organizing old boxers, I found Sophia's journal from the months we were apart. Pages filled with doubt. What if Jake realizes this life is too heavy? What if I'm not enough anymore? Reading her raw fears broke me. When I confronted her gently, she cried. "I was scared you'd leave, like everyone else eventually does. My dad left, Mom is fading. I thought maybe you would too." We talked for hours, real painful, healing talk. I shared my own insecurities about failing as a husband and soon-to-be father. We forgave each other in the quiet hours before dawn, bodies tangled, hearts wide open. Then came the jealousy twist I never saw coming. Lauren, my ex, reached out again. Her mother had passed, and in her grief she asked to meet for coffee just closure. She said, I told Sophia everything. She said she trusted me, but when photos of Lauren and me at the cafe surfaced online taken by a mutual friend, old wounds reopened. Sophia's pregnancy, hormones, and fears collided. I know you love me, she said through tears, but seeing you with her, it made me feel like that girl on the bench, again desperate and alone. I canceled everything to be with her. We took a short trip to the cabin up north. There, under starry skies, I renewed my vows on one knee. You are my 5 minutes, my lifetime, my everything. No one else. The night we returned, Sophia went into early labor. Cliffhanger. In the delivery room, complications arose. The doctor pulled me aside. We may lose one of them. You need to choose who we fight for first. I didn't choose. I begged them to save both. Hours blurred into prayers and held hands. Sophia, exhausted and terrified, looked at me with fierce love. If it comes down to it, save our baby. I kissed her forehead. We're not losing either of you. Not today. Little Eleanor Rose came into the world, screaming at 3:17 a.m., tiny but strong. Sophia held on, her hand never leaving mine. The doctors stabilized her. When they placed our daughter on Sophia's chest, the room filled with quiet sobs of relief and joy. Watching Sophia tired, glowing, unbreakable cradle, our baby, I knew this was the moment everything had been leading to. Months later, on the anniversary of that rainy night at Union Station, we returned to the same bench. Sophia carried Ellie in a sling. The plaque was still there. We sat in silence, the three of us, watching trains come and go. Sophia leaned her head on my shoulder. Remember when I asked a stranger for 5 minutes? She whispered, I do. Best decision of my life was saying yes. Ellie cooed between us. Sophia smiled the same smile that had saved me years ago, now brighter, deeper, complete. I was never a stranger, she said softly. I think I was always coming home to you. We kissed as the sun set over the city, painting the sky in hues of gold and rose. The same colors Sophia painted into every page of her books, now stories of courage, love, and staying. Our love story didn't end on that bench. It only truly began. Final line of the extended story, and every single day since. I have stayed through every storm, every joy, every ordinary and extraordinary moment because 5 minutes with her taught me that forever isn't a promise. It's a choice we make again and again, with open hearts. Like, comment, and share, and subscribe. See, if this story touched your heart, made you believe in love again, or brought tears to your eyes, please hit that like button. It helps more people find stories that heal. Comment below. What's the shortest amount of time it took for you to know someone was special? Share this with someone who needs to believe in love right now. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new heartfelt romance. Your support means the world. Thank you for staying until the end.